My parents said they couldn't afford 2 tickets, so my sister got the vacation. When they came back, my mother accidentally sent me an audio message meant for my aunt saying, "That fool Carol actually believed we didn't have money. At least we didn't have to put up with her complaining about the food in Orlando." The audio continued with her laughing and saying my sister deserved more because at least she gave me grandchildren, while I, at 28, was focused on my medical career. I forwarded the audio to the family WhatsApp group along with screenshots of the 5,000 Riez monthly transfers I'd been making to help with their debts. I sat in my apartment's living room, phone trembling in my hand as I listened to my mother's voice again. The casual cruelty, the practiced deception, the way she actually laughed, about manipulating me. Behind her voice, I could hear my sister Jennifer giggling, probably sprawled on some hotel bed they'd told me they couldn't afford. The audio was 47 seconds long. I'd listened to it 11 times before my hands stopped shaking enough to screenshot my banking app. 5,000 Riez, every single month for 3 years. That's 180 hours Riez I'd sent home while working double shifts at the hospital, eating instant noodles in the doctor's lounge, postponing the car I needed, the apartment upgrade I deserved. All because they'd told me Dad's heart medication was bankrupting them. All because Mom said they might lose the house. All because I was the responsible daughter, the one who'd become a doctor, the one who could help. The family WhatsApp group exploded within minutes. My Aunt Beatrice, the intended recipient of Mom's mocking audio, was the first to respond with a string of shocked emojis. Then came my cousin Daniel, asking if this was real. Uncle Roberto demanded an explanation. And then, silence from the 3 people who mattered most: Mom, Dad, and Jennifer. I opened my laptop and started compiling evidence I'd been too trusting to examine before. Bank statements showing regular luxury purchases charged to the credit card Dad claimed was maxed out from medical bills. Jennifer's Instagram posts geotagged from high-end restaurants in Orlando, Disney's most expensive resorts, designer shopping bags arranged artfully on boutique hotel beds, photos of Mom's simple birthday dinner that was actually at a steakhouse where appetizers cost more than my weekly grocery budget. My phone started ringing. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, then Dad called. Voicemail. Jennifer tried next. Voicemail. The messages started flooding in, each one more desperate than the last. "Carol, honey, there's been a misunderstanding. Sweetie, your mother's audio was taken out of context. Can we please talk about this like adults? Like adults. As if adults manipulate their daughter out of 180 Riez while mocking her behind her back." I pulled up my contact list and found the number for Marcus, a colleague from medical school who'd gone into forensic accounting after deciding clinical medicine wasn't his calling. We'd stayed friends over the years, meeting occasionally for coffee and medical conference gossip. I texted him, "Need your professional help. Family financial fraud situation. Can you meet tomorrow?" His response was immediate. "My office, 9 a.m. Bring everything." The WhatsApp group was chaos now. Extended family members demanding explanations. My grandmother, who I'd thought was on their side, posted a message that stopped everyone cold. I always wondered where Hilda got money for those trips. Now I know she stole it from her own daughter. Mom tried to call again. I answered this time, putting her on speaker while I continued organizing documents. "Carol, thank God. Listen, that audio was very clear." I interrupted, my voice surgeon steady. "You called me a fool. You laughed about deceiving me. You said Jennifer deserved more because she had children. You're taking this out of proportion. 180,000 Riez, Mom. That's what I've sent you over 3 years. For Dad's medication you said he desperately needed. For house payments you claimed you couldn't make." Silence. Then, "We did need help. Dad's insurance covers his medication completely. I checked with his cardiologist today. Dr. Santos was very confused why I thought Dad was paying out of pocket. I let that sink in. And the house? The mortgage was paid off 5 years ago. Public records, Mom. Anyone can look it up." More silence. "Were you ever going to tell me the truth? Or were you planning to keep this going until I had nothing left? Your sister has 2 children to support. Jennifer's husband makes 6 figures in IT. I've seen their tax returns. I hadn't. But the bluff worked. How dare you invade our privacy? How dare you steal from me for 3 years?" My voice finally cracked, but not with tears. With fury. I worked myself to exhaustion, believing I was saving my father's life. I delayed my own life, my own dreams, because I thought my family needed me. And all along, you were spending my money on vacations and laughing about how stupid I was. "Carol, please, you're being dramatic. I'll be at your house tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The whole family is invited. Bring your bank statements, credit card records, and every receipt from Orlando. We're going to go through exactly where my money went, and then we're going to discuss repayment terms. Repayment? Carol, we're your parents. You were my parents. Now you're people who owe me 180,000 raise. See you tomorrow. I ended the call and immediately started receiving texts from Jennifer. Threats, mostly. How I was tearing the family apart over a misunderstanding. How mom was crying so hard she might need medical attention. How I'd regret this vengeful behavior. Vengeful. That word stuck in my mind as I prepared for bed. My laptop still glowing with open spreadsheets tracking 3 years of my financial sacrifice. They hadn't seen vengeful yet. What they'd seen was shock, anger, a daughter's betrayed heart laid bare in a family group chat. What they were about to experience was something entirely different. A doctor's precision, a surgeon's steady hand, and the cold, calculated dismantling of a fraud they'd convinced themselves would never be discovered. I opened a new document and began typing, not an angry letter, not an emotional plea, but a detailed timeline of every lie they'd told me, every manipulation, every dollar I could trace. By morning, I'd have evidence that would make a prosecutor weep with joy. Because this wasn't just about the money anymore. This was about 3 years of my mother calling me a fool while cashing my checks. This was about my sister posting vacation photos while I worked overtime to fund her trips. This was about my father letting me believe his heart condition required bankruptcy-inducing medication while he golfed at the country club. They'd made a mistake sending that audio. They'd given me the one thing I'd never had before. Absolute clarity. No more guilt. No more wondering if I was being selfish for wanting my own life. No more family loyalty binding me to people who saw me as nothing more than an ATM with a medical degree. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Marcus. Just saw your family's group chat. A friend showed me. Holy shit, Carol. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. We're going to bury them. I smiled for the first time in hours. Not a happy smile. The kind of smile a surgeon makes before the first incision. Steady, purposeful, ready. They wanted to know what the fool Carol would do next. They were about to find out exactly how smart this fool actually was. Marcus's office was sleek and minimalist, all glass and steel that screamed successful professional. He'd already made coffee by the time I arrived. 2 ceramic mugs sitting on his desk beside a laptop and legal pad covered in notes. I couldn't sleep after seeing that group chat, he said, gesturing for me to sit. Started pulling public records at midnight. Carol, this is worse than you think. I spread my documents across his desk. Bank statements, screenshots, printed emails. How much worse? He turned his laptop toward me. Your parents refinanced their paid-off house 3 years ago. Took out 400,000 Rs in equity. My stomach dropped. What? Same month you started sending them money. They told you they were struggling with the mortgage, but they'd actually just grabbed a massive cash payout. He scrolled through property records. Then they refinanced again 18 months ago. Another 150,000. That's impossible. You can't just keep refinancing. You can if property values keep climbing and you have good credit, which they do, because they've never missed a payment. He pulled up another document. Want to know why? Because your 500 Rs monthly was covering their new mortgage payment almost exactly. I stared at the numbers, my medical training useless against this kind of calculated deception. So they manufactured a crisis to fund a lifestyle upgrade? Worse, they manufactured a crisis to fund your sister's lifestyle upgrade. Marcus clicked through to a series of bank transfers. Every month, like clockwork, your parents send Jennifer 800 Rs, sometimes more. Last December, they sent her 25 €0. For what? According to these transaction descriptions, grandchildren expenses, family support. But look at the timing. He highlighted a pattern. Big transfers to Jennifer always happen right after you send them money. It's basically money laundering through the family structure. My hands clenched. They've been using me as Jennifer's personal bank account. For 3 years. And that Orlando trip? Hold on. He pulled up credit card statements I didn't know he could access. First-class flights, deluxe resort package, VIP park passes, fine dining every night. Total vacation cost was approximately 45,000 Rs. I did the math instantly. 9 months of my payments. They spent 9 months of my money on one vacation, while telling you they couldn't afford to take you. Marcus leaned back. Carol, this isn't just family drama. This is systematic financial fraud. You have grounds for a civil lawsuit, possibly even criminal charges. My phone had been vibrating constantly since I'd arrived. I finally glanced at it. 87 unread messages in the family group, dozens of missed calls, and a new message from my father that made my blood boil. Your mother is in the hospital. Stress-induced chest pains. Hope you're proud of yourself. I showed Marcus the message. He snorted. Classic abuser tactic. Create a medical emergency to trigger your guilt. How do you know it's not real? Because I pulled their insurance claims. He showed me another document. Your mother has zero cardiac history. Your father's the heart patient, and his last cardiology visit was 4 months ago. Completely routine. No concerning findings. His medications cost exactly 87 Rs monthly after insurance, not the thousands they claimed. The lies were so extensive, so interconnected, that unraveling them felt like performing surgery on a tumor that had metastasized into every organ. Each new discovery revealed another layer of deception. There's more, Marcus said quietly. Your grandmother's estate. Grandma Rosa? She died 2 years ago. She left 200,000 Reyes to be divided among her 3 children. Your mother, your uncle, and your aunt. Your mother received approximately 67,000 Reyes. He paused. This was 7 months after she'd started telling you they were financially desperate. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process. My grandmother's inheritance could have covered more than a year of the help they'd claimed to need so desperately. Did Jennifer know? I finally asked. Marcus pulled up Instagram screenshots he'd compiled. Look at the timing of her posts. Every expensive purchase, every luxury experience, every blessed family moment. They all align with your payment schedule. She knew. She had to know. My sister's smiling face stared at me from a dozen photos. Designer handbags, spa days, professional family photo shoots that cost thousands. All funded by her unmarried, childless sister who worked 80-hour weeks and ate vending machine dinners. What's my next move? I asked. Marcus slid a folder across the desk. I've prepared 2 documents. First is a formal demand letter for repayment of the full 180,000 Reyes, plus interest calculated at the legal maximum rate. That brings your total to approximately 215,000. And the second? A criminal complaint for financial fraud. If they don't agree to repayment terms, we file with the state prosecutor. He met my eyes. Carol, they won't pay voluntarily. People who steal from family never think they're in the wrong. My phone buzzed again. Jennifer, this time calling instead of texting. I answered on speaker. Carol, what the hell is wrong with you? Mom is in the hospital because of your drama. Which hospital? I asked calmly. Silence. What? Which hospital, Jennifer? I'm a doctor. I have privileges at 3 of them. I can check on Mom personally. More silence. Then, she's at San Lucas. No, she's not. I called San Lucas 20 minutes ago. No admission under her name or Dad's insurance. Marcus nodded approvingly at my bluff-turned truth. So where is she really? You called to check? Jesus, Carol, you really are heartless? I'm heartless? You spent 3 years enjoying vacations and shopping sprees funded by my medical resident salary while I thought I was saving Dad's life. We needed help. You have no idea how expensive raising children is. Your husband makes 300,000 Reyes annually. I make 180,000. You needed help? I watched Marcus update his notes. Jennifer, I've hired a forensic accountant. We've documented every transfer, every lie, every Instagram post showing how you spent my money. You have until the family meeting tomorrow to decide if you want to settle this privately or involve attorneys. You can't sue your own family. Watch me. I ended the call. Marcus grinned. That was ice cold. I'm impressed. I learned from the best surgeons. Never let them see you shake. But my hands were trembling as I said it. What happens at this family meeting tomorrow? You present the evidence. Give them one chance to agree to a repayment plan. If they refuse or try to manipulate you, we file everything Monday morning. He handed me a thumb drive. This contains copies of every document I've compiled. Bank records, property records, insurance claims, social media evidence, timeline analysis, everything you need to prove systematic fraud. I pocketed the drive. They're going to say I'm destroying the family. They destroyed the family when they decided to steal from you. Marcus's expression softened. Carol, I've seen this before. Financial abuse from parents to adult children. They always use the same playbook. Guilt, medical emergencies, family loyalty. Don't let them manipulate you into backing down. My phone exploded with a new round of messages. The family group chat had devolved into chaos, with relatives taking sides. My Aunt Beatrice posted the audio message again with the caption, "In case anyone forgot what Hilda really thinks of her daughter." Uncle Roberto demanded my parents explain themselves. My grandmother weighed in with a message that made several people leave the group. I always said Hilda was greedy. Now everyone sees it. But the message that caught my attention was from my cousin Daniel. "Carol, I lent your parents $30,000 last year for medical expenses. Reading all this, I'm wondering if I got scammed too." I screenshot his message and sent it to Marcus. "How many others do you think there are? Based on the cash flow analysis? At least 3 more family members who've probably been scammed the same way." He was already typing. "I'll reach out to your extended family, see who else wants to join a collective action." The meeting tomorrow was supposed to be about my money, my betrayal, my stolen 3 years. But it was becoming clear this was bigger than just me. My parents had turned family loyalty into a business model, with me as their primary revenue stream and others as supplementary income. I left Marcus's office with evidence that could destroy my parents financially and possibly send them to prison. The thumb drive in my pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. 3 years ago, I would have done anything to protect them. Now I was preparing to systematically dismantle the lies they'd built their lifestyle upon. My phone rang one more time. Dad's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Carol." His voice was quiet, defeated. "We need to talk before tomorrow." "We'll talk tomorrow. With everyone present, with documentation. Please, just you and me, father and daughter." I thought about all the times he'd called asking for money, the concern in his voice when he'd explained about his medication costs, the gratitude when I'd agreed to help. All of it performance. All of it lies. "You're not my father," I said. "You're a thief who happens to share my DNA. See you tomorrow at 2. I ended the call and blocked his number, then Jennifer's, then my mother's. They could attend tomorrow's meeting or they could hide. But either way, the truth was coming out, and unlike them, I had receipts. The house where I'd grown up looked exactly the same. White colonial facade, manicured lawn, the expensive fountain my mother had insisted they needed 3 years ago. The fountain that I'd apparently paid for while believing they were struggling to afford groceries. I arrived at 1:45 p.m., early enough to set up, but late enough that my parents couldn't corner me privately. Marcus followed in his own car, carrying a briefcase full of documents and a laptop. My Aunt Beatrice was already there, sitting in her car with the engine running like she might need a quick escape. "Your mother tried calling me 6 times this morning," Beatrice said as I approached her window, "begging me to convince you to drop this." "And?" "I told her to sell the fountain." She smiled grimly. "I lent them $15,000 2 years ago for property tax they claimed they couldn't pay. Never saw a raise back." "Add it to the list," Marcus said, opening his briefcase. "We're up to 4 family members who've been defrauded. Total approaching 250,000 reais. More cars arrived. Uncle Roberto with his wife. Cousin Daniel with his partner. My grandmother, face set in hard lines of disappointment. Even some neighbors I'd known since childhood showed up, apparently having heard through the community gossip network that something major was happening at the Brennan house. My father opened the front door at exactly 2 p.m. He looked smaller than I remembered, or maybe I was seeing him clearly for the first time. My mother stood behind him, makeup perfect, not a trace of the hospital-inducing stress she'd claimed. "Carol, thank you for coming," Dad said, as if I'd been invited to a dinner party. "Why don't we discuss this inside, just family?" "This is family," I gestured to the growing crowd on the lawn. "Everyone you've stolen from. Everyone you've lied to. We're all family here." Jennifer appeared in the doorway, her 2 children clinging to her legs. A calculated move, using kids as human shields. Is this really necessary? In front of my babies? Your babies who've been living off my money? Yes, it's necessary. I turned to Marcus. Set up the presentation. He'd brought a portable projector. Within minutes, our family's dirty laundry was being displayed in PowerPoint format on a white sheet hung from the porch. The first slide simply read, 3 years of systematic fraud, a timeline. My mother tried to shut the door. Uncle Roberto blocked it with his foot. "Oh no, Hilda, we're all watching this." Marcus advanced to the next slide, a graph showing my monthly 5,000 reais payments overlaid with my parents' monthly 8,000 reais transfers to Jennifer. The correlation was perfect. Every payment I made was immediately redistributed to my sister. "This is private financial information," my father protested. "You can't just display our bank records." These are my bank records, I corrected, showing payments I made to you based on fraudulent claims. Your bank records I obtained through legal channels with a forensic accountant's license. Everything here is admissible in court. Jennifer tried a different approach. Carol, I didn't know they were telling you those things. I thought they were helping us from their retirement savings. Lie. Marcus interrupted, advancing to the next slide. This one showed Instagram screenshots dated and time-stamped. May 15th, 2022. You posted, "Thanks Mom and Dad for helping with the kids," with a photo of a 400 Reais designer stroller. That same day, Carol sent your parents 5,000 Reais, believing it was for your father's heart medication. The neighbors were filming now. I should have cared about the public humiliation, but I was done protecting people who'd never protected me. June 2023, Marcus continued. Carol sent an emergency transfer of 1,500 Reais because your parents claimed the house was in foreclosure. 3 days later, you posted photos from a luxury beach resort in Bahia. Total vacation cost, based on hotel and restaurant geotags, approximately 20 Reais. Jennifer's face was red. Those were gifts. Parents are allowed to give their children gifts. Gifts purchased with money obtained through fraud, Marcus corrected. That's called money laundering, also illegal. My grandmother stood up from the porch steps where she'd been sitting. Hilda, you received 67 0 from my estate. Where is that money? My mother's careful composure cracked. Mother, that was 2 years ago, so you had 67 Reais while telling Carol you couldn't afford groceries? Grandma's voice could have cut glass. While taking her resident's salary and lying about Paulo's medical bills, his bills were expensive. His bills were 87 Reais monthly after insurance, I said. I verified with his cardiologist, Dr. Santos, who, by the way, was shocked to learn you'd been claiming financial hardship for his care. Dad finally exploded. You went behind our backs to our doctors? That's a violation of privacy. You're not my patient. You're my father. I can verify information about your care, especially when you're using false medical claims to commit fraud. I nodded to Marcus, who displayed the insurance claims history. 0 out-of-pocket costs for cardiac care in 3 years. 0, the crowd murmured. I saw neighbors filming with their phones, this confrontation becoming permanent digital record. Aunt Beatrice stood up. My 15 Reais. For property taxes you claimed would result in losing the house. Where did that money go? My mother was crying now, mascara running. But I'd seen her cry 100 times growing up, usually when she wanted something. The tears didn't move me anymore. You refinanced the house twice, I said. Took out 550 Reais in equity while claiming financial desperation to your family. That money went somewhere. Where? Jennifer grabbed her children and tried to leave. Daniel blocked the driveway with his car. Not yet, he said. I want to know about my 30 Zarin and my 12 Zarin, his partner added. For your emergency surgery that insurance supposedly denied. The lies were multiplying, each family member realizing they'd been targeted. My parents' faces showed the exact moment they understood they couldn't manipulate their way out of this. We can work this out, Dad tried. Family meeting? Just us? No lawyers? We tried that. Uncle Roberto said, you used family as a weapon to prevent accountability. No more. Marcus displayed the final slide. A formal legal demand for 215 Reais from me, plus separate demands from 4 other family members totaling another 72 0. The grand total, 287 Reais, plus interest accumulating daily. You have 3 options, I said, my voice surgeon steady despite the chaos around me. 1. Agree to a repayment plan with legally binding terms, managed through the court system. 2. Declare bankruptcy and liquidate assets to repay your debts. 3. Face criminal fraud charges that could result in prison time. You'd send your own parents to prison? Jennifer shrieked. They stole from me for 3 years while mocking me behind my back. Yes, I absolutely would. My mother collapsed onto the porch steps, crying harder. My father looked at me with something between rage and disbelief, as if he couldn't comprehend that his obedient daughter had become his worst nightmare. We don't have 287 Reais, he finally said. Yes, you do, Marcus replied. Your house is worth approximately 850 Reais with current market values. Your retirement accounts contain another 180 0. Jennifer's husband's income is substantial. You have assets. You just don't want to liquidate them. You expect us to sell our home? My mother's voice was shrill with panic. You expected me to fund your lifestyle forever, I countered. I'm 28 years old. I should have been building my own future, maybe buying my own house. Instead, I was paying for your fountain and Jennifer's designer strollers. A car pulled up, a police cruiser. Uncle Roberto had called them, apparently, concerned about the escalating situation. The officer approached cautiously, taking in the crowd, the projector, the crying woman on the porch. Someone called about a disturbance? No disturbance, I said. Just a family meeting about financial fraud. We have documentation if you're interested. The officer looked at Marcus's displayed evidence, then at my parents. This looks like a civil matter. Unless someone wants to file criminal charges? I met my mother's eyes. She looked terrified. Good. She should be. Not yet, I said. They have until Monday at 5 p.m. to agree to repayment terms. If they refuse, we file criminal complaints. The officer nodded and left. The neighbors dispersed slowly, filming and whispering. This story would be all over town by evening. My parents retreated inside their house. Jennifer followed, still using her children as emotional shields. The door closed, leaving those of us who'd been defrauded standing in the driveway. What happens now? Daniel asked. Monday, they either agree to terms or we file, Marcus said. Based on their reaction, I'd prepare for litigation. As I drove away, I looked back at the house one more time. The white facade, the expensive fountain, the life they'd built on lies and stolen money. By Monday, it would start crumbling, and I felt absolutely no remorse about being the one holding the sledgehammer. Monday morning arrived with an email from my father's attorney, not an agreement to repayment terms, but a letter threatening me with defamation charges if I continued spreading malicious falsehoods about respected community members. I forwarded it to Marcus with one word: file. By noon, criminal fraud complaints had been submitted to the state prosecutor's office. Civil lawsuits from 5 family members were filed simultaneously in county court. Marcus had been right. They would never pay voluntarily. My parents had convinced themselves that family loyalty meant consequence-free theft. The week that followed was chaos. My mother called me 47 times from different numbers after I'd blocked her. Jennifer posted a long Facebook rant about ungrateful siblings who destroy families over money. Several distant relatives who hadn't been defrauded publicly condemned me for airing dirty laundry, but more relatives came forward. A second cousin who'd lent 8,000 for emergency dental work, an uncle who'd covered 20,000 in property repairs. The total kept climbing. By Thursday, we had documented 340 euros in fraudulent requests across 7 different family members over 5 years. The local news picked up the story after someone leaked the civil lawsuit filings. Prominent family faces multiple fraud allegations, read the headline. My mother's charity organization quietly removed her from their board. My father's golf club membership was temporarily suspended, pending investigation. Friday afternoon, I was between surgeries when hospital security called. Dr. Brennan, your sister is in the lobby demanding to see you. She won't leave. I found Jennifer in the waiting area, makeup smudged, holding a folder. The confident, pampered sister I'd known was gone. This woman looked desperate. 5 minutes, I said. Conference room. She followed me silently. Inside, with the door closed, she opened the folder. Bank statements, credit card bills, mortgage documents. Brad left me, she said quietly. Her husband. He said he married into a family of criminals. Filed for divorce this morning. I waited. No sympathy, just silence. The prosecutor called. Said I could be charged as an accessory if I knew about the fraud. Her voice cracked. Carol, I didn't know they were lying to you about Dad's medication. I swear I didn't know that part. But you knew they were giving you my money. She nodded slowly. Mom said you had plenty. That you made so much as a doctor and didn't have kids. So you should help family. I made 180, Sirars as a resident. You and Brad made 450, Sirar combined. Who needed help? Tears streamed down her face. I got used to the lifestyle. The shopping, the vacations, the nannies. Mom made it seem normal, like wealthy families just supported each other this way. Wealthy families don't steal from their children. I know. She pushed the folder toward me. This is everything. My expenses for 3 years. How much they gave me, what I spent it on. I'm telling the prosecutor everything. Mom told me to lie, but I can't go to prison. My kids need me. I looked through the documents. Every transfer, every purchase, meticulously documented. This was testimony that would destroy our parents' remaining defense. Why bring this to me? Because I want you to know I'm done protecting them. Jennifer wiped her eyes. And because I'm selling my house. Brad's keeping the kids in the divorce, but I'll get assets. Whatever my share of the house is, I'm giving you. It won't be all 215,000, but it's a start. This wasn't remorse. This was survival. Jennifer had calculated that betraying our parents gave her better odds than staying loyal to criminals. But I didn't care about her motivations anymore. Give the documents to Marcus, I said. He'll add them to the evidence file. Your house money, when it comes through, goes to the repayment fund. Will you drop the charges against me? I never filed against you. Just Mom and Dad. If the prosecutor decides you're culpable, that's their decision. She left looking somehow smaller than when she'd arrived. I returned to the surgical ward, scrubbed in for my next case, and didn't think about her again until my phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. Jennifer's testimony is devastating. Your parents are finished. The trial took place 6 months after I'd received that accidental audio message. My parents had hired an expensive attorney who tried every tactic. Delayed proceedings, character witnesses, sob stories about 2 elderly parents being persecuted by ungrateful children. None of it worked. The prosecutor had built an airtight case. Jennifer's testimony about years of coordinated deception. My documentation of false medical claims. Property records showing the refinancing scheme. Bank statements proving systematic money transfers. And that audio message, my mother's voice laughing about deceiving that fool Carol, played in court while the jury watched my parents' faces. The defense attorney tried to paint it as a family misunderstanding. Children sometimes misinterpret their parents' financial decisions, he argued. This was never fraud, just poor communication. Then Marcus took the stand as an expert witness. He walked the jury through every manipulation, every lie, every calculated step my parents had taken to maximize their theft while minimizing suspicion. He showed how they'd targeted me specifically because of my income, my trusting nature, and my strong sense of family duty. This wasn't poor communication, Marcus concluded. This was a 5-year criminal enterprise that defrauded at least 7 family members of over 340,000 reais. They targeted their own daughter because they knew she'd never suspect her parents of such systematic exploitation. My father took the stand in his own defense. Huge mistake. I never thought of it as taking from Carol, he claimed. She was doing well and we needed help with Jennifer's expenses. That's what families do. The prosecutor produced his cardiac records. Mr. Brennan, you told your daughter you needed thousands of reais monthly for heart medication, but these records show your out-of-pocket costs were 87 reais. Where did you think that money was going? We had other expenses, like refinancing your paid-off house and extracting 550,000 reais in equity. That was for improvements, like the fountain you installed while claiming you couldn't afford food. My father had no answer. My mother refused to testify at all. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the forewoman read the verdict with unwavering clarity. Guilty on all counts of financial fraud, theft by deception, and conspiracy to commit fraud. My mother collapsed in her chair. My father stared straight ahead, expressionless. Jennifer, who'd testified against them, watched from the gallery with her children on either side. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge was a stern woman in her 60s, who'd clearly reviewed every document in the case. Mr. and Mrs. Brennan, you systematically exploited your daughter's love and trust for 5 years. You manufactured medical crises, fabricated financial emergencies, and laughed about your deception behind her back. She paused, letting her words sink in. You didn't just steal money. You stole years of your daughter's life, forcing her to work herself to exhaustion, while you enjoyed luxuries purchased with her sacrifice. The sentence was devastating. 4 years in prison for each of them, followed by 10 years supervised probation. Every asset they owned was ordered liquidated to repay the defrauded family members. The house where I'd grown up would be sold at auction, retirement accounts seized. Even my mother's jewelry collection was assessed for repayment value, but the judge wasn't finished. Additionally, you are ordered to pay 100,000 reais in punitive damages to Dr. Brennan to compensate for the emotional distress caused by your fraud. This amount is separate from repayment of the stolen funds. My mother finally spoke, her voice breaking. Your Honor, please. We're too old for prison. You were not too old to orchestrate a complex multi-year fraud scheme. You are not too old to face consequences. The judge's gavel struck. Court adjourned. As bailiffs led my parents away in handcuffs, my mother turned back to look at me one last time. Whatever she saw in my face made her look away quickly. No forgiveness, no softness, just cold satisfaction. Jennifer approached me outside the courtroom. Thank you for not pressing charges against me. Don't thank me. Thank the prosecutor for deciding you were a useful witness. I started walking toward my car. Carol, wait! She caught my arm. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but the kids keep asking about you. They miss their aunt. I'm not their aunt anymore. I'm the woman their grandmother stole from. I pulled my arm free. Your kids will be fine. You have Brad's money and whatever you get from the house sale. They'll never know what it's like to eat instant noodles while working 80-hour weeks because they think they're saving someone's life. Will you ever forgive me? The question was almost funny. Forgiveness implies you deserve a second chance. You don't. None of you do. I drove away and didn't look back. 18 months after the trial, I stood in the parking lot of my new medical practice. Not my employer's practice. Mine. Opened with the money from my parents' asset liquidation, the punitive damages, and my own savings that were finally mine to keep. Dr. Carol Brennan, MD, read the sign above the door. Below it, Family Medicine and Preventive Care. The house where I'd grown up had sold for $820,000 Rs. After legal fees and distribution to all defrauded family members, I'd received $287,000, the full amount they'd stolen, plus interest. The additional €100,000 in punitive damages had seeded my practice's operational fund. My parents were serving their sentences in separate minimum security facilities. My mother wrote me letters monthly, which I returned unopened. My father attempted no contact at all. Jennifer had moved 3 hours away, her divorce finalized, her lifestyle significantly downgraded. We'd exchanged no words since the sentencing. Marcus stopped by for the practice's opening day, bringing an expensive bottle of champagne. To the fool who became a conqueror, he toasted. I prefer survivor, I corrected, but smiled. Your mother's parole hearing is in 2 years. Are you going to submit a statement? Absolutely. Recommending against parole. He nodded approvingly. And if she's released anyway? She'll be 68, broke, and a convicted felon. She can enjoy the retirement she earned. That evening, I sat in my new office and reviewed the patient schedule for the following week. 32 appointments already booked. My practice would focus on underserved communities, people who struggled to afford medical care, who might skip necessary treatments due to cost, people like I'd thought my parents were. My phone buzzed with a message from my grandmother. So proud of you, Carol. You broke the cycle. I smiled and replied, just getting started. The fool who'd believed her parents' lies had transformed into someone who would never be deceived again. The daughter who'd sacrificed everything for family had learned that family wasn't defined by DNA, but by integrity. And the woman who'd lost 3 years to theft had gained something far more valuable: absolute clarity about her own worth and zero tolerance for those who would exploit it. My parents had tried to steal my future. Instead, they'd forged me into someone stronger, smarter, and entirely immune to their brand of manipulation. I'd built my success on the ruins of their fraud, and every patient I'd treat in my new practice, every life I'd improve, would be a monument to the justice they'd tried so hard to avoid. They'd called me a fool. I'd proven I was anything but. And unlike them, I'd sleep perfectly well at night.